Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For the final time this season, welcome back to Cone Racing League. I am your host, jumping into the box tonight in place for the very special, very amazing Joshua Evans, who's celebrating his birthday tonight. I am, of course, CRL III, better known as Scotty, taking you through this season finale in Tier 3 for Season 7, and what a finale it is shaping up to be. 4 title contenders, 2 or 3, maybe even some more teams once we get into the calcs, in with a chance for the constructors. Plenty of action, and a sprint race of all things to decide it here in Bahrain. Yes, the first ever track to host a Middle Eastern Grand Prix. We are under the lights of Sakir for the final time in Season 7. Sprint race, you know what that means. One shot qualifying, and we are going to get on board with your championship leader. There is nobody else. I think we should be on board for this final lap of the season. He's currently only in P8 at the moment, but he knows that a couple of good results could be enough. But he's got a few guys on his tail. One of them is the guy at the front at the moment, going by the left-hand side board. It is Baza SUFC Fox. He's only 3 points adrift from the man in the Mercedes, the Indian Jesus, the Messiah, and the long-time member, it must be said. Big shout-out to Ashish in the Mercedes. Basil, one of the new boys, 3 points adrift as we go through the tricky turn 10 on this flying lap on board with Indian Jesus. Digweed and Mazzles also in the hunt tonight. Jay Hartnell heartbreakingly missing out by a single point. 37 points available here tonight. He is 37 adrift, but due to countback rules, would not be in contention even if he won. 6 points available total for the sprint race, and a total of 31 for 30 for fastest lap, one for the fastest lap, 30 for first place in the feature race. Indian Jesus then about to finish this lap. He's clawed it back up through the positions with the final sector and through the final corner. It looks to be as if he's jumped up to P1, round the final 2 bends and up to the line, and it is going to be a 1:28.894. Baza just jumping ahead by literal milliseconds ahead of his championship rival. Deluxy in P3 with 1:28.934. Fandango in the AlphaTauri. That's a key one to note. We have 2 teams tied at the top, one of those being AlphaTauri, the others, of course, being the Ferraris. Fandango, though, the only AlphaTauri driver here tonight. And just like that, qualifying is done. These sprint races do not mess about, and they do not give us commentators half a chance or hope in lordy hell. But there we go, our grid for the Bahrain sprint race. Just double checking there that I was actually coming through the YouTube algorithm, and you could hear my lovely Scottish tones. Baza FUFC Fox in ahead of his title rival Indian Jesus in P2. Deluxe, Fandango, Jay Hartner and Victor Mean round off your top 6. Those are the point scoring position for this sprint race. Digweed and Mazzles, though, the 2 other drivers in with a shot at this title, P8 and P10 respectively, are going to have a little bit of work to do. However, the main eyes is on this feature race. That is where the big boy points are won here tonight. It's going to be a long old race, of course. 5.4 kilometres per lap, 3.3 miles. So we're looking at a 54 and 33 mile respectively sprint race, and then 157 and 97.5 miles for the feature race. It is an endurance haul here tonight, like it is at every other sprint race on the calendar, but I think more so when there's the pressure of the finale. And of course, 37 points available. There's a lot of battles going on in track, as I think we may have a... oh boy. Well, this is just fantastic. Let's hit retry and see what happens. Is it me? Is it a me issue? I don't know. The answer's on a postcard photo. I think we're alright. Harry Palmer, the driver formerly known as CRL NPC Xenon, did leave the game. Hopefully he does have another invite and he can get in. There's a lot of people saying that they're disconnected from the servers. Okay. Bear with me, lads. This might be a lobby restart. We'll hang fire and wait and see what the admins have to say. I I think that'll be a call for Mr. and Mr. Booth. There are so many two of them. But Draper saying he's made it back in. The race seems to be, as we have an AlphaTauri going into it, we seem to be alright. Just a little technical glitch there on EA's part, but we seem to be alright. Fingers crossed then, the remainder of the evening goes without anything untoward interrupting us. As we were saying though, lots and lots to play for. You've got the battle for P1 of course, but there's a battle for P8. Riordan, Deluxe, Fandango, Chugs, all very close, 6 points separating the four of them. These little battles are still raging. Every position counts, every point counts. In the constructors as well, I was hinting at it. Ferrari, AlphaTauri, 1,028 points each. Now there's 66 points maximum available per race, per team. That is not the case for, I believe, Williams and AlphaTauri here tonight. They only have a single car each. So it is only going to be, sadly, 37 points available for them. But let's say you had all 8 drivers racing all 8 tiers. All 4 tiers, sorry. And they came first and second in the sprint race. They came first and second in the feature race. And they got the fastest lap in the feature race. That gives a total of 264 points available in this constructors battle. 264 points separates first all the way down to 7th. Mercedes in 7th, 772 points, 256 adrift of the top spot. But theoretically, we have 7 teams in the constructors mix this week. Of course, that is not just dependent on this tier, that depends on tier 4, tier 2, and of course tier 1 later on in the week. But for now, we're going to keep an open mind here, folks, and see how things go as the drivers are finishing up this very, very quick formation lap. Tyres then. It's the usual what to expect. Everybody on the mediums except for the madman from Denmark. It is, of course, Mazel's 82. He has got a championship to try and do his utmost best to win. He's opting for the softs. There is, of course, 6 points available for first in the sprint race, all the way down to a single point for P6. So he is going to try and charge through this field. No pit stops, of course, in this race. There is no obligation to use 2 sets of tyres, so it's all about tyre management for him. The rest of them going for a bog standard medium strategy. We'll see how that plays out for them. Before we get this race started, though, I am going to just give a quick public service announcement. If you hear any strange noises, notably some Scottish squeals, I am dealing with a slight mouse problem within my flat. It is chewed through the radiators and is now running about the walls between the bedroom and the living room. So, just a little service. Don't panic, there's nothing wrong with your TV screens. It's just me being a 24-year-old scaredy cat. But we are on the grid then for what will be the second last time this tier 3 season. Baza SUFC takes us from pole ahead of Indy and Jesus, and we get 5 red lights here in Sakir. And it is lights out, and away we go. The Haas looking to be a decent start for him. There's a little bit of contact in the midfield. That is Fandango. He is out of this sprint race already. Look to have a coming together with Jay Hartnell in the Red Bull. That is a full course VSC. Victor Mean, has he got tangled up with something? Yes, he has. Harry Palmer having connection issues. And what a dramatic start to these races under the lights here in Bahrain. The AlphaTauri already out of this session. Fandango in the wall after coming together with what looked like Jay Hartnell just under the start before we even got to turn 1, and it is a VSC already. So essentially, all the gaps are now nullified. Nobody can pull ahead as Bunnies gets a 5-second penalty for a collision with Mazel's as we go green flags again. Mazel's, it must be said, up 5 already on that start from P10. Baza holding the lead from Indian Jesus, from Deluxe. Jay Hartnell moving up 1. Mazel's up 5, and I believe Digweed up 2 or 1 as well. But he is battling it out with the Greek Builder. Williams currently third in this constructors battle. 49 points adrift of both Ferrari and AlphaTauri, and with one AlphaTauri not running this race and one of them already out of this sprint race, it could be a chance to sneak into the top 6 for Greek Bill and claim a precious point. Somebody that's after precious points, though, is IRT Connects. Man, the myth, the Zach, the young Scottish lad who is doing my country absolutely no favours this season, it must be said. 6 points in 14 rounds. He will be desperate to get that McLaren to the finish line, and more importantly, to the finish line in the points. But Zach, I sympathise you this season and know how hard that can truly be. Baza then gets us underway as we complete lap 1 here, and hopefully that's the last of the drama, although it's a season finale. I don't think that will stand. Ash JW side by side then with Harry Palmer. The Ferrari against the Aston Martin. The top of the table against the bottom in the Constructors. And it is the bottom boy, Aston Martin of Ash, coming out just ahead on top. Baza, though, pulling a 1.3 second lead ahead of Indian Jesus as Draper goes for a move down the inside of Ash. Ash losing out to Harry Palmer once again, but he does make the switch back into turn number 4 on the Alfa Romeo of Draper. These two have been very nice side by side, and Gautier Fallon is having a little sniff in the background there, thinking he can get involved in this little bit of action. It really is surprising amount of duels in this desert. No rain, of course, expected tonight. We'd be very, very surprised if that was the case, but we will wait and see. You just never know in F1. Bunny's then on the rear of Mazzles. He's currently on for 2 points as Mazzles at the early stage, but we're only on lap 2 out of 10. We're not even a third of the way through this sprint race, and there's still plenty of time for some movement, some shaking, and some very, very much exciting action. At the front though, Baza still running clear, 1.6 seconds the gap now to Indian Jesus. Indian Jesus just about breaking DRS already on Dorloxy. That's not going to come into play until around about this lap here. Three detection zones here in Bahrain. Of course, we have 4 straights, 3 of them being DRS straights. The start finish straight, the one we're about to see the cars run up here on the exit of turn 2 and now turn 3, as Bunny's getting very close to the rear of that Alpine of Mazzles on the run down to turn 4. Both of them having the rear wing open, DRS assist, and it's not going to be possible for the Canadian, who makes his full debut appearance as a full-time driver. Appeared a few times as the reserves, and in doing so, it's on 44 points, 14th place in the Constructors. It's going to be a tough ask to get up to 13th and beat out Polishman. Polishman, of course, not here tonight. However, he can defend 14th in what would be a very solid season, despite only racing about 3 or 4 times. The gap, though, between 9th and 10th slowly breaking up as this pack slowly starts to separate. The second gap between Trundles and Iconex just about forming. Deluxey closed up to the rear of Indian Jesus, however, just holding in that DRS range has been enough for him to just, the DRS pulling them back in, keeping them within that touching second, and giving that DRS assist. That, of course, isn't what Jay Hartnell maybe particularly wants. He wants the car in front not to have the DRS so he can get a nice, clear, easy run, use as much overtaking ability as he can. And speaking of overtaking ability, has Bunny's got it in his locker this time? We saw it down to just over a 10th there for a very, very split second through the final corners. He is burning battery faster than a Tesla in the water. I don't know where that allegation was going or where that analogy was going, but he is certainly burning battery, as is Mazzles. We saw the red light blinking on the rear of the Alpine as Draper and Ash JW battle it out for P13. Mazzles, though, getting past Bunnies, and here comes Digweed down the inside of his championship rival and teammate, of course. Digweed moving up to P6. Mazzles losing out 2 positions in 1 corner. They're surprising on the softs, maybe struggling a little bit with tyre temps. Surely they're not going off already. It's only been 3 laps, and one of them we did under a VSC. However, you just do not know. Bunnies, though, 1.2 seconds adrift of Jay Hartnell. He is not going to have the DRS assist here. Down the run, out of turn 10, along to turn 11, and into the final part of this track. Digweed, though, not going to be close enough. Greek Bill, though, is close enough. The Williams going down the inside into turn 11 of Mazzle. Slight contact between the two of them. Side by side again through the right-hander of 12. A very, very tricky corner, and a very, very commonplace for drivers to make a silly little mistake under turning. Getting the throttle just wrong, getting the angle just wrong, and the car just drifts, particularly if you don't quite have the setup. Pardon me, my voice not quite going as fast as my mind there for a split second, but we're still rocking on fine. Bunny's 1.3 seconds adrift then. The front 4 sort of punching out on their own, and in fact, Baza on his own at the front. Bailey pushing out in the Red Bull. 1.8 is the gap there as Riordan and Trunders tussle out for P10. Jay Hartnell relatively close to the rear of that Haas with Deluxes. You can see that red light flashing on the rear of Deluxe's Haas. That means he's in less percent less than 10% ERS battery. He's going to be a little bit vulnerable here when you compare it to the 48% of Jay Hartnell at the moment. And of course, Jay doesn't have to defend. 1.2 seconds the gap back to Bunnies, Digweed, Greek Bill and Mazzles all chasing down, as is Zach Eichen next. Mazzles going backwards on these softs at the moment, and now he's got the McLaren right on his gearbox. The McLaren though getting a poor exit out of turn 10 and loses any momentum and any chance of getting an overtake done down the back straight on this lap. We're just about to finish lap 5 out of 10, just about the halfway mark through this sprint race. Baza, Indian Jesus, Durluxy, Jay Hartnell, Bunnies, Digweed, your top 6 and your current point scorers. However, we're only halfway there, like I just said. Plenty of time for change, action and drama. Greek Bill then looking to get the move done on Digweed. He's made it past one of the Alpines. He's trying to make it 2 out of 2 here. He's got the ERS advantage on Digweed in front. Both of them, however, having the DRS. Digweed 8 tenths adrift of Bunny, still within that second, however, and he will be getting a little bit of slipstream assist down the straight. Of course, the car in front punching through the turbulent air, or through the still air, sorry, making a little bit of turbulent air, but making the straight line speed that little bit better. Of course, not what you want in the corners, exactly what you want in the straight. Greek Bill though not able to capitalise, but Digweed running a little bit wide there for a second through the apex of turn 4. Seems to have controlled it nicely and got back on the throttle. Mazzles though dropping away, 1.2 seconds adrift of Greek Bill. These softs really not doing the job he had hoped for them, as Trunders has had a trundle of track on the exit of turn number 7. The Aston Martin falling down to P16, the one ahead of Victor Mean, who I believe was caught up in the lap 1 shenanigans with Fandango, our own Danny Boy Pheasant Plucker. He is a pleasant, well, I won't say the rest of that sentence. He'll be looking to capitalise from the back of the grid in the feature race. Of course, currently in the Constructors' Battle and slap bang in the middle, P10 of the Drivers' Championship. So unfortunate race for him. Lap 6 though, about to be complete. The gap out the front still 1.7 seconds. A little bit of space now happening throughout the grid. A few 1 second gaps appearing here and there. Greek Bill though now doesn't have DRS. A DRS Digweed, sorry, in front of him. Digweed losing out that 1 second gap to Bunnies, and he's going to lose out that DRS. And I wonder, just with that little slingshot, there is a DRS detection point at turn 1, whether Greek Bill will now get the DRS on Bunnies, as we saw Draper and Harry Palmer having a little squabble through turn 1 as Digweed sends it down the inside into turn 4 there with the DRS. Greek Bill closing the gap there a little bit. It looked like a little bit of a send from Digweed, but maybe a little bit of a shut in the door by Greek Bill. Might be one for the stewards. It might be just a little bit of clean, solid racing as Draper, our World Cup correspondent, he's already out in the desert here tonight. Well, he's just went for a wander a little bit deeper into the dunes. He is down to P15, having another spin similar to Trundles on the exit of turn number 7. Greek Bill though trying to get back here at Digweed. Digweed just outside the DRS detection of Bunnies, just on the cusp of the 1 second. He's going to try and push to try and get in that and try and pull himself along. Jay Hartnell dropped off the back of Durluxy at the front. Indian Jesus still just being kept 1.7 seconds behind Baza. As it stands, the gap between these two before this race, 3 points. Things finish us in our Baza gets 6, Jesus gets 5. That gap goes down to 2. And essentially, it comes down to who finishes in front of who on the track. Digweed would get a point. It would stretch it to about 15 points. I've got a little spreadsheet here ready to go, folks. As soon as we get the results here, plug it in, and we're going to have basically up-to-date live sort of data on who's winning what championships, the best of my ability. I am here alone tonight, and I am terrified of Stuart Little running about beneath my feet. So far, so much so that I'm sitting here cross-legged on a chair. But enough about that. We're still on board with Durluxy in the Haas, still chasing down his compatriot Indian Jesus. The two Germans, of course. Indian Jesus, partly German as well. We love a bit of cultural mix here in CRL, and it's been an almighty season. I think one of our diverse seasons in forms of nationalities competing, and I think as well as community, it's been a very, very good community season from my perspective anyway. There's been a lot going on, particularly with things like the football season, the World Cup, and the F1 in general. It's been an absolute brilliant thing to be a part of for, I believe, the 4th time for my being. And what a brilliant tier to be looking at in this finale week. It has been an amazing season here in Tier 3. Yellow flags in Sector 2. Gautier Fillon having a Gautier Fill down the grid. Yeah, that wasn't my best. That is fair to be said. That was not my best ever. But T is having a horrid time in the Ferrari at the moment. I'm getting a lot of DMs here. What's going on? Oh, there we go. Evans Joshua, our main commentator, I've added him to the party. I started the party with him, so he is hopefully going to join us for a little bit, as we saw Greek Bill getting past Digweed into that final points pay position here for the sprint race. EEK has retired in the pits. There was a couple of other overtakes going on there. I believe it was Ash JW and Draper. Mazzles then battling it out with Zach, although Mazzles looking to make a mistake judging by that gap to the McLaren in front. I thought for a second there is a safety car, a virtual safety car, just with how slow it was going. But we have a spin and it's Digweed, the championship contender. He was fighting for a solid single point. He has had a spin, the same place we saw Trundles, the same place we saw Draper. He's had a spin on the exit of turn 7, and it looks as if points could be off the board for the sprint race for him, and that's going to make the feature race and his championship chances that little bit harder. Still plenty of time for everything to change, and it is going to be feature race that really defines who wins this title. Bunnies still holding off Greek Bill then at the time being. Greek Bill just about outside, just within. It's on the cusp here of the DRS. They have two, of course, both chasing down Jay Hartnell, although Bunnies with a 5-second time penalty. I believe that is from making contact with the rear of Mazzles. I don't think that'll be removable, of course. It wouldn't affect any removed penalties in this, or any end penalties add won't really affect the starting grid for the race. It's just not logistically possible for the steward and an admin team to really do that at a pace and have it update and reflect so soon. So it is unfortunately gonna whatever is applied is applied. It can't be removed. It can't be extra point penalties can't be added. It will, however, be looked at maybe post-race and could affect the points. We'll wait and see with that. But we are on the final lap here of the sprint race. Baza, we haven't really seen him. It's a bit of Max Verstappen-esque performance in that Red Bull, just out the front doing his own thing, keeping out of the camera's viewpoint because all the action is going on well down the field. 1.2 seconds is the gap. This is the tightest we've seen the gap the whole sprint race. It was about 1.7, 1.6, but Indian Jesus slowly catching up with that Red Bull and is now just within DRS range. Baza runs a little bit wide there on the exit of turn number 13. Of course, track limits are being monitored by the steward, so maybe one to watch out for, particularly during the feature race if we see a few cars doing that. Bunnies gets past Jay Hartnell. Baza is going to win the sprint race ahead of Indian Jesus Deluxe. Bunnies, Jay Hartnell, Greek Bill. Well, Bunnies is going to have the 5-second penalty. He's going to lose out to Jay Hartnell, who just pips Greek Bill by 69 thousandths. Zach, I connect. Zach comes home for P6 and picks up a solitary point, nearly quadrupling his tally of the season so far. Bunnies then falls to P7. Mazzles and Digweed in P8 and 10 respectively. I was saying Fandango was the only AlphaTauri. I forgot about Jerry Riordan. He's here bringing it home in P9. Harry Palmer, Draper and Gautier Fillon 11th, 12th, 13th respectively, with Trunders, Ash JW 14th, 15th and Victor Mean, the last of our finishers. EEK and Fandango both DNFing from this sprint race tonight. But there we have it as things stand. 2 points separate Baza and Indian Jesus going into this final feature race. Digweed is 15 points behind, but Mazzles has an uphill battle. Of course, 31 points available. He is now 31 points behind, and I don't even know on countback if it is possible. We'll answer that question if it comes into it, but it primarily looks like a 3-horse race now between Indian Jesus, Baza and Digweed. Baza and Indian Jesus taking first and second respectively. Ignore those sprint race points, they are all incorrect. It's only top 6 here in CRL. Derluxi rounds off the sprint race podium ahead of Jay Hartnell in the sister Red Bull. Greek Bill and Iconex rounding off the point scorers in this feature race. Very, very solid drive by Iconex, it must be said. We'll get a little look at the sprint results. Yeah, driving all the way up from 17th to 6th. A solid stand. And that, of course, has set our grid for this feature race here in Bahrain. We've got 29 laps ahead of us, 156.948 kilometres, 97.527 miles, but just 29 laps of action under the floodlights here in Sakir, Bahrain. For the final time then, it will be lights out very, very shortly on Season 7 Tier 3. Of course, once this race is done and dusted, and by no means is it anywhere near done and dusted, there's still action to be had tonight. Tier 4 is due to be starting very, very shortly. And of course, with the sprint race, it's going to run on a little bit later, meaning a little bit more action into the night for you folks at home. Tier 2 and Tier 1 conclude on Thursday as well. The Tier 2 title battle, one of the other driver championships, the only other driver championships, of course, MKP winning Tier 4, Bouter winning Tier 1. It's a toss-up. I think it's a 3 or 4 driver battle again in Tier 2 come Thursday night, so definitely one to check in on. But before all that, we're going to have a quick little formation lap. I am going to quickly go and grab a drink, quickly have a little refreshment break while they do the formation lap. You can tell by my strategy style, I'm a very loud guy. I don't like to stop talking. I don't like the dead air. So to keep that going for another 29 laps, I'll leave you with the tyre setups on board with Baza SUFC as he takes you round for one of the final last formation laps of CRL Season 7. Murphy invited me to the Tier 4 race. Unfortunately, I'm not there tonight, my friend, but I wish them all the best in that, and all the best to Liam Carrick's solo com in that. But I will be back in very, very quick 30 or so seconds. Well then, I would just about call that perfect time, and the cars rounding the final corner then to line up on the grid for the final time this season. It will be Baza SUFC, folks, ahead of his championship rival. 2 points separating these two in favour of Indian Jesus, and only one grid position separating them here tonight on the final grid of the season. It's effectively a four-way battle here between those two. 2 points separated them. Digweed 15 points off the top, and Mazels with a very, very slim outside chance on countback potentially. Do not know if that's official or if he is completely out with it, but we're going to pretend he still has a shot at it. It is the four-way battle: Indian Jesus versus Baza versus Digweed versus Mazels, and the title battle in the constructors: Ferrari versus AlphaTauri. And we're going to jump quickly on board and try and find a nice camera angle for the start of this Grand Prix. It seems to be we're looking through somebody's iPhone in the grandstands. Not quite sure what's happening here. Everybody seems to be disqualified, and the cars slowly settling into the grid spots, hopefully sometime soon. Answers on a postcard, EA. There we go. We finally have it. Jerry Riordan leaving the session. 5 red lights. That's not good. He's our host. Hopefully he can get back in, and hopefully there's no connection issues, but it's 5 red lights and we're out. And Dingy Jesus losing it off the start finish line. He's already down to P17, and I believe that could be damage for the Mercedes. That could be disaster for his championship hopes. Digweed all the way, already up to second on the softs. He's had a lightning start on those red striped softs, up to second, chasing down at Baza FUFC Fox, or Baza Fox as is colloquially known here in CRL. But what happened to Ashish? He lost it off the start line. But he's side by side with Jay Hartnell through turns 5, 6, and now into 7. And what a start to this feature race it has been. Mazel's up to 6th. He's got an outside, a very, very outside chance at this title. The Ferraris up into P7 and P11 respectively. The AlphaTauris 14th and 16th. That's huge for the Constructors' battle. But what a start by Digweed, and what a horrendous start by Indian Jesus. I don't know if there's damage on the front of that Mercedes. We'll find out very, very shortly. There's Harry Palmer getting a 5-second corner cutting penalty very, very early on in this race. Answers on the postcard with that. Yes, there was no... sorry, my mind just went blank there. There's end plates on that front wing, but there's nothing else. That is a unique aero design by the Mercedes. Bazalo loses out to Digweed. Sorry, well, I was just looking at the pretty non-existent front wing on the Mercedes Deluxe, chasing the two of them down. Baza trying to have a look back at Digweed. Digweed, of course, on the soft tyres compared to the mediums. He will be a little bit pacier around about these initial few laps. And he'll be looking to stretch out a gap, extend that DRS gap, and restrict any chance for them coming back to him maybe later on in the grid. Of course, though, there's plenty of action still to come and plenty of things that can change. He's going to have to do, of course, a mandatory pit stop. Everybody has 2 sets of tyres required here. Soft hard could be possible. It could be the medium hard for the rest of them, or hard medium respectively. Indian Jesus into the pits for a set of hard. He is going to need a safety car to bring the Mercedes back in, and as it stands, it's a toss-up between Baza and Digweed. Now, 30 points for first, 24 points for second. There's a 13-point difference between these two. So as things stand, the title would go the way of Red Bull and Baza. However, it's only lap 2 of 29. Let's not get ahead of us here, folks. Let's not start counting any chickens before they hatch. Jerry Riordan, Dean Riordan, looking to see if he get an invite. I'll see if I can invite him. Cannot invite in players because this game group has closed. No, sadly I can't. Riordan, it's not letting me invite. It's going to have to be whoever the new host is. The only thing I could try, if you can maybe go on my profile, say, and ask to join the group. That should hopefully send a little ping to the game host that's been reallocated to essentially say, can Riordan join, and would you like to invite? Aside from that, I'm not too sure what to do, my friend, as the time boards go haywire on the left hand side there. Ash JW was closing in on the back of Victor there for a brief second. Top 9 disconnected then from the bottom 10, and in fact there's a big disconnect between the top 6 to 7th place. IRTI connects 2.6 seconds adrift from this lead pack. All eyes then on the battle at the front. So as things stand, Digweed needs to outscore Baza by 13 points. That would happen if Digweed was first and Baza was 4th. Now that would have them level, and it would go to countback, and I honestly, for the life of me, don't know who would win that countback. It would be a toss-up. I would need to go to the 4th official on that one, as Draper has a little bit of a spin by the looks of things, down to P13 for that Alfa Romeo. I connects battling it out with Trundles for P7, side by side through the right-hander, up 12, up the hill to 13. Trundles using as much of the track and a little bit more to hang it around about the outside as EEK's had a spin on the exit of turn 11. These two still going side by side, however, down the run of the final straight on to the start finish line through 14 and then technically 15. Two corners there for some reason. Not really in my mind, that's all one corner, but however, that's how the track map decides it. Iconex rinsing that battery as much as he can to try and stay ahead of the Aston Martin of Turnbull. Apparently Harry Palmer is leading this race in the Ferrari. There we go, back down to P15 for him. The timing board's a little bit all over the place due to some connection issues. 4 seconds of the gap between the top 6 and Iconex in 7th. Baza then, he showed amazing consistency through the sprint race, and that is a spin for Digweed. There's a retirement for Harry Palmer, and oh my word, that is the God, well, it's maybe not the God-given send for Indian Jesus, it's the Jesus-given send for him. He has had the magical religious touch there, you could almost say, the God's gift, and the safety car is out thanks to a Harry Palmer retirement. Up the hill, very similar to the place in fact Grosjean went in. Very, very strange one, it must be said. Pio though, Mr. Digweed, having a spin from the lead down to 11th now. I'd be very, very suspect if we don't see him jump into the pits for a fresh set of tyres. This is really looking good for Baza at the moment. His nearest championship rivals in 4 laps have all but run themselves out of this Grand Prix. They're going to have to put in a lot of work to try and come back at him. Mazel's again still with that outside contention. He could have done with maybe at least 1 point to sort of fire it up and guarantee that he still had a chance in the sprint race. Couldn't do so. 31 points would tie him level with Indian Jesus. So of course the only way that would come in is if the rest of them did not score points. Top 12 here scoring points as it is. Digweed is into the pits, as is Greek Bill in the Williams P11-12 respectively. Draper comes on in that promotes Fandango up to P11. It'll be interesting to see what kind of tyres go on each car. Digweed opting for a set of softs. That's a bold strategy call from the man from the northeast in the Alpine. Of course, he's looking at it maybe a sense, I need to get back through this field. I need the best tyres I can, the most grippiest, life-sucking tyres, I suppose you could say. He's going to be a rocket ship on those compared to the old mediums and hards ahead, and it must be said. But it means he's going to have to pit again. Draper on the mediums is likely going to have to pit again. The hards of Greek Bill could probably stretch it right to the end. Of course, safety cars are fairly common around this circuit, so maybe Digweed trying to play into that hand, get himself up through the field, and just about the timings to come off them soft. Maybe a little safety car gets deployed. Everybody else shoots into the pits, of course. He's brought himself back up, and then it's all about fair and level racing. That could be the strategy going on in his head. See, hasn't Riordan been able to join yet? No, that car's still looking very, very ghosted. That's an absolute shame for Mr. Dean Riordan. Hopefully, if the drivers are listening, you're under safety car. Now, you don't have to, but be very courteous to quickly check. Can you invite Dean? Can you invite Riordan? Let's get him back in. There's a championship battle going on here. Not just the drivers, the constructors as well. He's got his part to play in that. The old Irish connection not holding up with EA tonight. It's almost as if EA don't want AlphaTauri to win this constructors battle. The battle is raging on, however. Got Eiffel in the lead, Ferrari, Fandango the lead, AlphaTauri run a little bit wide there into turn 14. A little bit strange under safety car. He'll be hoping for his sake he hasn't picked up a pen as we see a few cars dart into the pits. It's a late call by Ash, but I think it was just about legitimate. Of course, the solid white line, the differentiation between the pits and the main straight, that might have been a close one. I think he was just mostly within, so I would say, judging from what I've seen there, it's just on. It's just about on. Of course, if you cross the white line, it is punishable via the stewards. Typical penalties include time seconds and, of course, pen points. More common around tracks like Austria, of course, where it is a little bit trickier and a little bit easier just to dart in at the last minute, but we have seen it arise here in Bahrain. And speaking of Bahrain, it's a very historic circuit. just in real life, and of course here in CRL, first held 2004. Most successful driver is, of course, Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes and the McLaren over the years. Ferrari, though, the most successful constructors. They'll be looking for some more of that success here tonight to try and cement the best chances at securing the constructors' championship. A little bit of work for them to do, P9 and in the wall, so a lot of work for them to do. But it's all on Gautier Fillon's shoulders to try and get as many points for that constructor battle as it can. Speaking of CRL history, though, it was the race that kicked off season 4, of course, the opening Grand Prix to that season. It was one of, I believe it was the second or the penultimate or the second to penultimate race in season 6. We saw some controversy there, some titles decided there in that race before the season finale. The collision between KXI and J-Wells right about where the cars are on track. So it's not short of its little bit of drama, it's a little bit of title decidedness and a little bit of spiciness here in CRL. We're seeing a little bit more of that tonight, but it is lap 6, about to be lap 7, and we're due to get back under green flag racing here in Sakira. Baza FUSC will restart the race, and he has done it lightning quick. Look at the spring. He has gotten the bunny. That bunny was not up and ready for the races. 1.5 seconds the gap between Baza and the Mercedes. Jay Hartnell, the sister Red Bull, then going to try and chase that down as Derluxy gets a 5 second speeding into the pits and he is retired. I believe that must be something else a little bit more going on there by that. That's a very strange retirement. If just on the cusp of I'm not having a good race, and it's not a postcard with that. Digweed up into P10, however, getting it past the ghosted Reorden. Sadly, not in this race due to EA just not fancying letting him race due to connections. Digweed then on the charge back through the field. He's back into the points, currently P10. 4 points, it won't be enough to gain or lose him anything as he does get past Fandango, and that's Draper running very wide. That's an interesting line there, Draper. Greek Bill coming down the inside into turn 10, trying to take advantage of that. The two of them going side by side down the back straight. Of course, no DRS at this present with the safety car being deployed onto track. Digweed getting past Victor Mean and Gautier Fillon. Up to P7. That's 10 points on the board for him now. Of course, he's still losing out 20 points to Baza, but he's creeping in the gap that he could claim that vice championship ahead of Indian Jesus as things stand. Indian Jesus languishing down in 13th after that lap 1 incident where he looked to just lose it under traction on the start of the Grand Prix. Digweed though chasing up through the field. Bunnies 1.6 adrift of Baza. Jay Hartnell just over a second adrift of Bunnies. Mazzles maybe looking at a shot for the podium here if the DRS, or when the DRS gets activated, as things keep, I've just tangled myself up. If things keep as they are. Zach Iconex currently running P5 after starting P6 from P16 in qualifying. So he's slowly making his way up through this pack, but losing a little bit of time to the cars in front and putting on a bit of a defensive show here by the looks of things in the McLaren. Gautier Fillon battling it out with Victor Mean. Victor Mean getting a little bit drifty with it through the exit of turn 17, and through goes Fandango in turn 8. And in fact, Draper having a little sniff, but side by side is Victor Mean and Fandango. Draper sending it down the inside into turn 10. A little argy-bargy, elbows out, Fandango being forced wide. Draper just about getting the move done, and he is Aish, aka Indian Jesus, looking about in the background. He's made it up on Greek Bill up into P12. A little coming together, and oh my word, you couldn't fit a bit of paper through that gap there, folks. Indian Jesus almost getting collected by Draper and Fandango, having a little bit argy-bargy in front. You can see Indian Jesus has got a little bit more pace than these guys by the look of things. He's all over the back of them, but he just cannot find an opening to make his way through, and Greek Bill is sitting there behind. DRS now enabled on this lap. Indian Jesus getting a nice run through there, but not quite as nice as Fandango around about to the outside. Digweed getting a move done on Trundles down into turn 1, burning a little bit of battery. He's now got Iconex next, and he's trying his best to make up through the pack. Greek Bill. Oh, and that's another collision for Indian Jesus. Fandango spins it and collects the front of Indian Jesus. I don't think there's any damage on that Mercedes, but he lost out a lot of time. He was battling out with Greek Bill and Draper, P10 and 11 respectively. He's now back down to P14 behind EAK, Ash, Draper, Greek Bill. That is a huge time loss for Indian Jesus. The world is just not with him tonight. What is going on here? What in lordy lord is going on here, folks? Draper coming into the back of Greek Bill. Greek Bill almost looking as if he just stopped it, as Ash runs very wide. EAK, or EK, sorry, that's not the easiest thing to say with a Scottish accent, going down at the inside. I don't know, that'll definitely be one for the stewards. I would say so, and indeed it looked like Draper hitting the back of Greek Bill. Greek Bill going very slowly and causing almost a concertina effect, 3 or 4 cars. Hopefully nothing deliberate there. That'd be a real shame to see. Maybe put a damper on some of these drivers' seasons, as I just jumped aboard with Trundles, and he decides to go for a Tokyo drift around the final corner of the Bahrain International Circuit. It's been non-stop action here, folks, so far tonight. Digweed up past Iconex, but not for long. DRS coming to the rescue of the young Scotsman. However, it's now going to be a return in favour for him. In fact, he was just behind going into the detection zone, so did have the DRS despite being ahead of Digweed. These two going side by side. Really a bit of argy-bargy, elbows out, wheel-to-wheel driving, and Digweed saves the car nicely. A little half spin there, sends it down the inside. It's a little bit touchy here tonight, guys, I cannot lie. Not the most aggressive, dirtiest driving, but not exactly on the cleanest side. A little bit elbows out, a little bit pushy. Please don't pass me around the circuit of Bahrain tonight by a few drivers. But luckily, nobody really. Zach, I was just about to say nobody doing anything too daft, and you go and spin it, and you drive into the wall. Zach, come on, man, you're letting the country down. Indeed, Jesus will take that though. He's up into P10. Greek Bill coming on through. We're back in with this pack at the back. Draper in P8, ahead of Trundles, ahead of Indeed Jesus, ahead of Greek Bill, who's ahead of Iconex. Of course, that event coming together, Greek Bill and Draper having a little bit bargy through turn number 8. I'm not quite sure what happened on there. We'll see that. Hopefully it's the last we see of any kind of driving like that tonight, as Murphy, thank you once again for the invite to Tier 4. Sadly I cannot be there. The man, the myth, the Murph, you absolute legend. Hope for a good result for him tonight, being non-biased, as Indian Jesus has it coming together with Iconex. I didn't see that too well, but it looked as if Iconex maybe getting run out of roads there. I don't know if the pass was on in the first place. We didn't quite catch it quick enough. But Indian Jesus having another coming together tonight. First a Silv with the wall on the start, then again getting collected by Fandango, but enough about that. Baza has had a spin. The race leader, the championship leader, as things stand, has had a spin. He's down to P4. If Digweed gets the overtake, suddenly the gap starts to shrink on points, and Digweed is the next car behind. Hopefully for Baza those tyres aren't too warm, his confidence isn't too knocked, and it doesn't start to cause issues creeping into this race, as Trundles has a spin around about turn 11 in the middle sector. It's amazing, we're already 11 laps, just about to be 12 into this Grand Prix. It's been flying past, and speaking of flying past, Mazza's goes flying past Jay Harnell as he does go into the pits. 11 laps, on those mediums. Digweed into the pits after 7 on the softs. Now, of course, the rest of the guys at the front are going to pick. Digweed's made that call work going on to the double softs. He is racing for track position with Jay Hartnell. He's going to come out pretty much into a nice little gap there ahead of Trundles. Maybe not, in fact, might be round about them. Hopefully traffic won't hold them up too much for his sake in this championship battle. We'll wait and see. but Digweed doing an amazing job despite that early spin. The safety car coming out, going onto the softs, pushing through the pack, getting himself up into the lead pack. All of them need to pit as Trundles does retire in the pits. So it's really making it a bit more. He's more in sync again. He's not lost out at the same time. He's not had to go in a different strategy, and he's actually probably going for the undercut now on the hards ahead of the rivals of Baza, of Mazzles, of Bunnies. So it'll be an interesting one to see how that all comes out. Bunnies is leading this race at the moment, 2 seconds adrift of Mazzles, who's 4.3 seconds adrift of Baza. Gautier Fallon currently in P4. He's got Victor Mean for company in the Alfa Romeo. Draper not too far behind in the sister and the sister Asda, the sister Alpha. Oh, when you say so many words, you're bound to get a few of them wrong. Mazzles is into the pits, as is Baza. So those two suspect to be going onto the hards to the end of this Grand Prix. Yep, and yep. So the medium's going around about the 11 to 12 lap mark before everybody seems to be tripping off. Victor Mean trying to go down the inside into turn 1 on Gautier Fallon, getting a little bit more traction there on the exit of turn 3, gets the move done, and now he's got DRS to pull him up that hill towards turn number 4. Baza and Digweed, that's a lot more of a gap than I first expected. I wonder if a mistake creeped in there. There must have been, because Jay Hartnell was right ahead of Digweed, was he not? Maybe not. Draper having a spin there in the meantime, adding to his tally of drifts, shall we say. Tonight he's already been off the track a couple of times in the sprint race, makes it another time in this race. Fandango, we saw him have a little bit of a tank slapper at turn 1. He's currently P9, chasing down Jay Hartnell and Mazzles, who are in front, but of course both of them making a pit stop. It's not been the night for the Alpha Tauri driver at the moment. His big rival, realistically, is the man from France in the Ferrari. It's Gautier Fallon. He's been around since season 4, a regular in tier 4 and more recently tier 3, and a driver that's slowly been clawing his way up through the ranks. This season he finds himself in P12 in the tier 3 drivers championship standings. Victor Mean into the pits, however. No, it's not. It's Bunnies into the pits, sorry. So let's see how that plays out in with Mazzles. Mazzles trying for the undercut here. You can see on your map in the bottom right, the Mercedes slowly creeping out of the garage, and it's well and truly out of the pit lane and the garage. Of course, though, it will be cold tyres for Bunnies for this first lap or so, till he gets some motion, some movement into those tyres, a little bit of energy coursing through that turns into heat, which turns into grip. So it could be a sketchy lap or two for him. We'll keep an eye on all that. I'm going to quickly have a little drink because my throat is about to give way more than Mazzle's softs at the end of that sprint race. It's amazing what a bit of lubrication can do for the throat. Don't read into that any more than you have to. Fandango then, picking up a 3-second time penalty for, I'm not quite sure what we were on board with that. That didn't look much in the way of corner cut, although I did only half see it, so could be wrong. Luckily, you know, being a streamer, I've got a little replay feature. Just hit -10 on the stream. He did run wide into turn 10, so a little bit poor by the game, but it is how it is. Penalties not really creeping in then. It is just Fandango and Victor Mean, both with 3 seconds of time penalties at this stage of the Grand Prix. Indian Jesus clawed his way up to P4, 12 laps under the hards. Now, we've seen the guys that have just pitted. They're looking to go about 17 laps on the hards. Indian Jesus is almost at that stage already, and he's got another 14 to go. He could go for an ultra long run on these hards. Now, bear in mind, his rival, his main rival here tonight is Baza. Indian Jesus, technically, as it stands, you know, he is still winning this title. I'd ruled him out almost for a second but he is back in it. Speaking of being back in it, Draper back in the wars, this time with Mazzles. The two of them going side by side through 5, 6, and a little bit of contact there. Draper running wide and then losing it on the curbs on 7. Looked to, I don't know if it was a snap, I don't know if it was contact, but he got forced on to the left hand side on the exit of 6, coming back on and just losing it on the curb. Unfortunate for him tonight. It's not been a great race for the Alfa Romeo driver. We're down to just 14 runners now in this Grand Prix. 12 do get points. One of them, however, is of course Jerry Riordan. He is not in this race. He is still ghosting about because well, EA disconnected him, pardon me, from the servers. So it's relatively 13 cars still in this Grand Prix. Has Draper forgotten to drive? I thought he was in Qatar. It might be. I thought he was as well, so I'm amazed that he's driving tonight. Yeah, that is true. I thought he was fully abroad at the World Cup, of course. One of our many expat correspondents, I suppose you could say, out there giving us plenty of coverage for the World Sporting event. But the only main sporting event we're interested in tonight is this race here in CRL. Victor Mean, the third corner cutting penalty of this evening of the current driver still running, and it's the second one from himself. He picks up another 3-second pack time penalty. Baza closing into the rear of Danny Fandango in P8. 15 lap old mediums against 3 lap old hards. Fandango 15 lap on the mediums. That says to me, is he trying to stretch them out, go for a medium soft, or is he just praying for a safety car, a Bert Mylander appearance? Judging by the gaps though there, unless it was a little mistake from Baza, it doesn't seem as if there's much a difference, and that is a big dodge by Baza. Commentators cross striking. I was just about to say Fandango doing well pace-wise on those medium tyres. Mazzles has retired from this Grand Prix on the exit of turn 11. That's got to be a safety car. Yes, it is, and oh my lordy lord, my heart cannot take this. Lap 16, safety car has been deployed. Now, we're going to see Victor Mean in the pits. We're going to see Gautier Fallon in the pits. Greek Bill, Indian Jesus. What do the rest do? Does Bunnies, Jay Hartnell, Baza all pit? I would say probably. They've got to. Set of mediums get you to the end here, but it's who has the mediums. Indian Jesus going on to a 1 lap old set of mediums, those that he started the Grand Prix with. Baza does not pit. He stays out on the hards. He's getting track position ahead of his championship rival, Indian Jesus. Indian Jesus being saved by the safety cars here tonight. Well and truly, Fandango picking up a 5-second speeding penalty into the pits. Is Digweed going to overtake Indian Jesus? Yes, he does. Greek Bill, 12 laps on the medium, still the hard, still running out. That is a strange call from him. It is his call to make, of course. I won't judge too severely, but I'm a little bit surprised at that, as I am Draper on to the softs. 12 lap on the softs. If you can do that, sir, you deserve a medal. EAK coming out of the pits on hards. Look to be the only tyres that he really has fresh, sitting about 6 lap old hards. He knows the softs aren't going to go to end. His mediums will be short, and well, there's just what happens with cold tyres, let alone cold worn tyres. So yeah, Jay Hartnell, Baza Fox, the two Red Bulls running very well in this Grand Prix, although they are on the old hards. They've got Victor Mean and Gautier Fallon on new mediums behind Indian Jesus and P8 with new-ish mediums. It's going to be tight. It's going to be a tight, interesting race to the end here. Here's a question. Yeah, yes, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that my good friend Zach is still in the race. I was thinking he might have been a lap down, but he's still going. He's still going, Zach. Go on, Zach. Good to see him. Now, hopefully, you know, I've done a lot of talking about ins and outs of racing. I'm going to give a little bit of friendly advice here to Zach because I think he needs it. Zach, of course, a good mate of mine. I have a lot of respect for the kid. He's not the Victor Mean into the pits of the mediums. Now, what are we going to see here? Is that serving a penalty? What's going on? Yeah, it is. We had a 5 second. What did he have a 5-second penalty for? He's onto the softs anyway. Zach Ikenex anyway. Good friend of mine. Now, we're on lap 2 of the safety car. It's got to do one more. He could catch up now. Or he could probably catch up this lap. I suspect, I'll be very surprised the next lap we don't see this McLaren into the pits. It'll all depend on how quick he catches up. And if it does go another lap, we expect him into the pits. Maybe expect EAK into the pits. And even Fandango, you never know. They've not got much to lose. They're at the back. Creek Bill. It's a strange one. It is surprising me, but if he can make that car as wide as he can, it could work for him. It's a tricky circuit to do it at, though. Free DRS, so there's lots of straights, lots of various speed corners. There's slow corners, fast corners, medium corners. It's not as if you just pick a setup that's right for the main overtaking corners and you can just go with it. Because every corner is an overtaking corner, essentially. It is a brilliant racing track. Particularly in the game, you find there's some good races had around here in the past and likely to come in the future. Lap 18 of 28.9 then. So, as things stand, Baza would be the driver's champion. He would take 17 points, from this Grand Prix. Indian Jesus in 7 would only take 10, meaning Baza would win the title by 5 whole points. Digweed in P6 would take 12 points and would be a solid for Mazzles. Is out of this Grand Prix. He's out of contention. He might not even lose out. He's only 8 points ahead of Jay Hartnell, so that could quickly go. Safety car is coming in this lap. Ikenex just catching up in time. It will be Greek Bill's chance to restart the grid. He's going to leave it late, and look at this bunch. This bunched up pack. When is he going to go? He's going now, and it is back to green flag racing. Bunny's having a better start this time compared to last. EAK having a little bit of a spin in the background by the looks of things. Jay Hartnell still in third, followed by Baza. Gautier Fallon going side by side with Digweed as we have Indian Jesus having a spin in turn 1. And that's just turned things right on their head. Indian Jesus, he has been given by the safety car, given again by the safety car, and now the safety car has taken it away. He's down to P13 and a lot of catching up to do with a very short time. Jay Hartnell getting out of the way of his teammate there. He knows Baz is in for a chance at this title. Gautier Fallon though sneaking through with that opportunity up into P4. Nice bit of teamwork going on there for the Red Bull boys. It's not something you see too often in league races, and as Victor Mean goes past Fandango either going deep or being forced wide. Might be a little choice words in the cockpit of Fandango at the moment. So as it stands, it's Digweed versus Baza for this championship. Baza and Digweed both on Eshhard 6 and 7 laps respectively. And Digweed needing to outscore Baza by 13. He needs to win and have Baza come 4th or lower, and that would tie them on points if Digweed did win and Baza did come 4th. Baza currently in 3rd though. Digweed currently in 6th. And Indian Jesus, the man who went in leading this title by 3 points, finds himself down, picking up a single point in P12. We'll stick on board with Digweed as he continues his hunt to try and get past the Red Bull of Jay Hartnell. 10 laps to go, including this one here, folks, and you don't want to miss a single one of them as we conclude this season 7 here in Tier 3, and what a season it has been. And I think if any race is going to encapsulate that, it's been this one right here. There's been everything. There's been thrills, there's been drama, there's been calamity, and there's been acceleration. It has been it's been one for the ages, I would definitely say. Digweed, though, is not done with this race. He is hunting down the Red Bull of Baza Fox. He's trying to get the teammate out of the way first, however, and it's not proven quite as easy as he might have thought. And he's got Draper and Victor Mean lurking in the background on fresh softs to be aware of as well. They're going to struggle to take them to the end. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's going to be a little bit tricky. However, it is still doable. In fact, Indian Jesus, I don't think we can discount him just quite yet. He's back on the train. Yes, he's got to make moves, but we know he's got pace, we know he's got talent, and we know that he's the ability to drive side by side and get past cars. Great break compared to EAK there. So DRS now enabled. That might help him try and pull through the pack. The DRS train is still sort of in full effect. Victor Mean going it past his teammate. Oh, that guy drapes, but he does make contact with Digweed. And Digweed losing out a little bit of time there and loses out a position to Draper. That is not what Draper needs at this moment in time. He needed every bit of luck and every bit of chance to try and get through this this Grand Prix. He's got a lot of catching to do to try and get past Vaza and to try and get the 13-point advantage that he needs to claim the win. Victor Mean gets past Iconex, but Iconex coming around about the outside. Victor Mean lagging him out more than a fish supper in a frying pan, and it is quite literally all over the place when it comes to connection-wise. It's over to the left, over to the right. Victor Mean hanging it out to the right, and Iconex going down the inside. A nice little view there on board with Fandango, who's eyeing up the Alfa Romeo next. 1.7 second gap formed between these and the cars in front. Both cars running a little bit wide there on the exit of turn 12. Fandango getting a nicer mid-apex speed compared to Victor Mean, and he's got a little bit of run with ERS, but that battery is almost as empty as a Nokia 337 that's been lying in your cupboard for the last 20 years. I don't know if that was the right number, but we'll go for it. Victor Mean pulling across into the pits, of course having wind damage it looks like, and now Ashish Indian Jesus with DRS and a little bit ERS having a run on Fandango down into turn 1, makes a little bit of contact there, a little bit of wheel banging, but seems to get the move done nonetheless. He will have DRS once again then on the run up to turn 4. Next in his sights is Iconex. Now 2 points separate Baza and Indian Jesus. You might be thinking, what if Indian Jesus finishes tight behind Baza? Baza stays third and Indian Jesus somehow climbs his way up to 4th. That's 20 points for Baza, 17 for Jesus. That's 3 points of difference. That would be all it takes, and almost. Oh, it's another bit. Don't tell it's commentator's curse, please. I don't want to decide this title, lads. I want you guys to decide it for yourselves. And Digweed's had a spin as well. The two challengers for Baza have fallen at the wayside time after time this Grand Prix. It's not going well if your name is Digweed or Indian Jesus. It's nothing but smiles if your name is Baza. And you've got to say, the cards are fully stacked in Baza's deck as things stand. These two title contenders, 10th and 11th. He's in third at the moment. They've got a pile of cars to get through and a pile of laps that have already been completed. There is only 6 laps to go, including this one here, maybe 7 if you include this actually. So it's not much time left. Bunnies though goes for an audacious move on Greek Bill, leaves it very, very late, gets it done round about the outside. The two of them almost make contact, but do very well to avoid coming together there. And what a move by Bunnies, the young Canadian, down into turn 1, around about the outside of turn 2, and of course turns to the inside of turn 3, gets the move done and keeps ahead into turn 4. Baza then line up to try and finish this season in style and try and round off with a potential win. Anything can happen though. We've seen many mistakes creep in this Grand Prix and it won't be over. Baza won't be wanting to make any reckless mistakes, but a man who might be trying everything to get as many points is the man behind him, Gautier Fillon, the French Ferrari. The last Ferrari running, he's in a battle with the AlphaTauris. Those two are joint in points as Iconex has a spin on the exit of turn number 10 off into the left-hand wall. Potentially no safety car, however, and looks to be still running at that McLaren. But Gautier Fillon drawn on points. Let's remind you of that constructors battle. 10-28, 1,028 points for both AlphaTauri and Ferrari. Latifi on the last remaining Ferrari in this. Fandango, the last remaining AlphaTauri in this race, reordered. Pardon me. Unfortunately, getting disconnected, meaning that this is huge for the constructors. A little bit of love there from Nathan. Go on, bunnies. Yeah, what a move by young bunnies. He got caught sleeping earlier on the safety car restart. He has not been caught sleeping this time. Iconex into the pits for a quick change of the old tyres, and probably the front wing picks up a 5-second penalties for his troubles. Never mind, Zach, get the car home and you're on for at least a point. Riordan's AI completing the race means it will not be counted in the final standings. So at least if you finish from the 12 drivers we effectively have running, they are guaranteed at least one World Championship point. At the front though, still this 5-way battle raging on. Jay Hartnell, as things stand, P5, 14 points. That would bring him up into the top 4 in the drivers' standings. So it's still to play for as Draper has a spin. Digweed up into 8th, Indian Jesus up into 9th, and Draper down to 10th. EAK running a very quiet race. He's all the way back up into 7th. Fandango as well, despite having a few incidents, a few spins, he's running quite nicely now in P6. Of course, does have a penalty to add on to things. Digweed and Indian Jesus are going to try and climb up ahead of EAK, ahead of Fandango, but then it's a 4.8 second gap. They're going to need a little bit. Oh, pardon me. I've been talking that much, my lungs can't keep up. They're going to need a little bit of misfortune on Baz's side and a little bit of fortune on their side for this championship to swing back across to their favour. Greek Bill, though, has had the misfortune of spinning through turn 1 and 2. He drops down from P2 to P5 as Digweed goes past EAK, because EAK has done the exact same thing that Greek Bill has just done. Greek Bill currently P6 in the standings. He could have a shot potentially. He's 11 points adrift of Mazel's, currently in P5, 14, so he would be up into that top 5 as things stands, but he has got Danny Fandango very closely behind, and Digweed and Indian Jesus following suit very closely. I'm just going to stop watching Indian Jesus every time I do. He seems to have a spin. I've done this a lot this season, mostly in Tier 4. My commentator's course has been well and truly alive this season, and I'm going to apologise to all 20 drivers in this grid and all 20 drivers on the Tier 4 grid for that. It's been a horrendous bit of commentator's course throughout this season. Get on board. Here we go again. I promise you, I'm not tired out of boredom, I'm tired out of sleepiness, and I'm tired out of just having to talk so much. My lungs, I'm definitely getting a bit of cardio in here tonight when it comes to all this commentating. There's been so much action, so much to go for, and so much to run you through. Thank you all for joining in as we just start lap 26 of 28.9 here. We're on board with Fandango chasing down Greek Bill, the Williams, against the AlphaTauri. Williams currently P3 in the constructors, so this battle does have a little bit of wear, and there's only 49 points separating these two teams as Victor Mean passes Jerry Riordan's AI posted vehicle. Danny Fandango going to have the run up to turn 4 with the DRS quite close enough to make it quite work out, and it's gone. It slipped through his fingers, that overtake, faster than the throttle pedal slipping through his toes. Spin there on the exit of turn 4. That's happened a lot tonight. Zach Canexo putting in the fastest lap of this Grand Prix. I believe the top 10 only get the bonus points, so nothing really much to gain for him other than showman points. And I've done it again. Every time I look at Indian Jesus, he either ends up in a wall or facing the wrong way, and it's happened again. I'm going to stop pointing the camera at this guy. I feel like the evil guy in, I think it's Cars 2. I can't Oilen or whatever it's called. I feel like him. Scott, I'm a terrible drinks man. Yeah, I am. That's a good point, Nathan. Baza, again, a very composed and confident drive. Very, very calm. Really not feeling much of the pressure here, and he hasn't had to do much other than drive his own race. 3 laps to go here around Bahrain. Bunnies is winning the Grand Prix at the moment ahead of Baza, and is Baza set to be the Tier 3 champion as things stand. Jay Hartnell still chasing down Gautier Fallon for P3. Indian Jesus has had another spin, and it is pretty much curtains for his race and his title hopes at the moment. Down in P8 and with a pit stop to come, it's going to be a lot of hard work for him, and a lot, and I mean a lot of good luck. Digweed, however, has a chance, maybe not to take the championship title, and as I say that, he picks up a 3-second time penalty. He's currently P6, 12 points. He is only 15 points adrift of Ashish Indian Jesus. So, a couple of positions more could be enough to get him vice champion in this Tier 3 season. We'll wait and see how that plays out. We're going to ride more then with Baza. I feel as if that's maybe been the problem here tonight. I've been pointing the camera too much at Indian Jesus, at Digweed. I've been piling on the pressure, and this man has slinked through without it. He's drawn such a calm, cool, collected race. Sprint race, he was out front, Max Verstappen-esque, just out there doing his own thing, not really even getting any TV time because there was just nothing really for him to do. Drive his own race, didn't get involved in anybody, had a lightning start and just off he went into the distance. The pressure may be building now. I'm not trying to build it, this is the action. This is the only real bit of action. It is the battle at the front. The rest of the pack now is spread out. Baza, this is your chance for the TV camera and shine. 2 laps to go then. The battle for P1 in this Grand Prix rages on. The battle for P3 in this Grand Prix also raging on. Farrell? No, it's not Farrell, it's FRL. Jay Hartnell. He's in P4 chasing down Gautier Fallon for the final podium position. Baza chasing down Bunnies for the top spot on that said podium. And all to play for them with a lap and a half to go. We're past the safety car mark. There will be no more safety cars for this Grand Prix, of course, because we have 2 full green flag racing laps at the end of the Grand Prix. So it looks to be pretty much here on out to the end, unless there's a spin or a collision. Nothing's really going to shape up this Grand Prix like a safety car or such. I've basically said the same sentence 3 times there, haven't I? You can tell I've been talking to myself for a solid hour and a half. Baza then, closing in on the rear of Bunnies. Bunnies 16% ERS, Baza 30, so a little bit more in that Red Bull tank. He doesn't need to get the move done, obviously. He has provisionally, as the thing standard, I think, unless there's a massive penalty coming in for nothing really. I don't think he's got much to worry about getting overtaken by Indian Jesus, who's down in technically 12th, classified, and Digweed down in 6th, however. So that could still, and I've said his name and he's spun. And that looks like an on-track retirement. I hate to say it, but I think it is the McLaren still moving, isn't it? Just because of that, I miss Baza going down the inside of Bunnies for the race. Lead the 2 of them side by side through 5 and 6. Baza, that is confidence, that is assurance, and that is racing craft and knowledge. He saw the gap was going to close. It's a tricky 5, 6 and 7 to go through. He knows he's got the title wrapped up if things stay as he was. He wasn't risking going side by side. That is a level of maturity that you don't often see a lot of in league racing. That is, I think there's nothing more I can do than that round of applause. He picking his battles, and he knows what he has to fight. He pulled out of that battle. He could have tried to go side by side for the win. He doesn't care about the win. He wants the big boy trophy, and he's on course to get it. It could have been a final lap overtake for the win for Baza, but who cares about winning in Bahrain when you can win the World Drivers' Championship? He's not going to do it in style with a win. He's going to do it with the next best thing. It is going to be P2 for Baza, behind Bunnies in the Mercedes, who takes the win in Bahrain. Baza, though, P2, 24 points to Indian Jesus' 0. You are Tier 3 champion, my friend. Gautier Fallon in the Ferrari. Huge points for Ferrari there. Coming home in P3. Jay Hartnell makes it a Red Bull 2-4. Solid points for him, and I believe enough to prompt him up a few positions in the championship. Greek Bill in 5th, Digweed 6th, Fandango 7th, EAK will come home in 8th, ahead of Draper, Victor Mean, and Icon next in 11th. And that will be that for us here in Bahrain. Baza then getting P2, getting 24 points. Bunnies getting 30 points for P1. I might just completely slip there. Just completely, utterly gone. But where was I saying for this? Anyway, Baza is tier 3 champion. I think that's all that needs to be said. He's had an almighty season, a debut season for, I believe his name is Bailey. It's been a cracking season for him. Jay Hartnell does get P3. No, that's not the race results, that's the weekend results. Done that before. There we go. There is our race results. Bunnies from P7 to P1 in the Mercedes. Baza P2 ahead of Gautier Ballon. He gets P3 and the 20 points that come with it. And that gets him up to 98 points, maybe gaining him a few positions. Jay Hartnell P4 in the sister Red Bull, 17 points for him on the board. Greek Bill in the Williams P5 ahead of Digweed P6, Fandango P7, EEK P8, Draper P9, Victor Mean P10 and Connects P11. The rest DNFing from this race, sadly. And that is it for Season 7, pardon me, of Tier 3 in CRL. What a season it's been. It's been an absolute pleasure to be involved in this once again. Thank you firsthand, I think it's got to be said, to our 3 head admins, AJ Wuhan, Nathan JB and Real DC. These are the guys that put everything together from the ground up. They started everything, and I think it's been another tremendous season and a sort of not an honour, you know what I mean, a reflection on the work that these guys put in, just how well the seasons went off. Don't get me wrong, every season has its ups and downs, it has its controversies, it has its dramas, but I think we can overall say that this one has been a pretty good one overall. I'm not quite sure too much. I was pulled in last minute a little bit on the standards here, but I don't know how many drivers exactly we had racing here in Tier 3 throughout the season. Answers on a postcard for that one, but I would like to start off by thanking the 20 full-time drivers that initially signed up, the 20 full-time drivers who made it all the way to the end of the season with us. A lot of them are not in the original bunch. We do always have a few that fall by the wayside over the course of the season, so I thank you to all of them. I thank you to all of our amazing reserves. It is a lot of people can be disappointed that maybe don't get a full-time seat to begin with. The reserves are what make the lead in my eyes. Coming in whenever there's an absence really does a big help. And last but not least, I think everybody in the community, I thank you to all of yous. And of course, the commentator team. Joshua Evans, he was going to join me at some point, he still hasn't appeared up. He's maybe celebrating, I don't know if Wales are winning or what, but it's his birthday, so big thank you to him. Liam Carrick, he's currently commentating in Tier 4 at the moment. A big thank you for him. He's been doing it solo every now and again. And of course the guest commentators of Rotation and Jeroen Visser on the Monday night team. It's been a pleasure working alongside all of you though. Provisional standings though. Baza SUFC Fox is the champion. Indian Jesus in P2, 188 points. He finishes 22 points behind. Digweed 3 points behind Indian Jesus. Jay Hartnell in 3rd. Greek Bill at 4th. Mazzles drops from 4th down to 6th. Sorry. Xenon not racing here tonight. He held on at 6th. Harry Palmer, no, he was racing. He just ended up in the wall. Sadly, somebody has got to come last. And I'm sorry, Zach. But it's you, my friend. Sadly, it is you. I think, though, before we do finish up for the season, I'll see if I can get a few of our podium sitters in for a little chat. Bunnies will be the first one. I'll quickly add him. He, of course, came first in the race. What is his PSN? It's Bunnies 999999999. We'll see if we can get them in for a quick little chat, very, very briefly. And then, of course, if we need to get the main lads in for a quick little conversation. That being Baza and it wasn't Jay Hartnell, sorry, it was Gotti. But we need to get Baza in for a quick little chat, definitely. And I think it was Gotti Fallon that came third, if my memory serves me right. You can describe me as many things, folks, but not an elephant. An elephant never forgets. I'm a goldfish when it comes to that. I don't know if you can hear it, but my voice is slowly going. We're on thin ice here, but that's our final grid for the season. I'd like to just once again extend my thanks to everybody involved. Everybody that turns in week in, week out, and everybody involved in the run of the league. But enough about thanks, it's time for congratulations. Baza or Bailey, in the words of Christian Horner, you are world champion, my friend.
Yeah, it sounds good.
It's got a nice little ring to that. It's got to be said, mate, it was a very, very calm, comfortable and collected drive from yourself up there. While everybody around about you, Digweed, Indian Jesus, Mazzles, were losing their heads, you kept it straight and narrow and drove that car right to the end.
Oh, it was, well, I don't know what happened at the start. I've seen Indian Jesus go sideways. I'm going balmy. No, the start was great. The start was great from that perspective. Jay, my boy, I love him. I love Jay. He's just let me through. He knew I was faster. He's just such a don.
It was noted on screen, a nice little bit of team orders coming in play at Red Bull, knowing you had a championship to go fight for. We've seen him kindly move across and let you go do the battles you need. Yeah, on the start it looked like Indian Jesus lost out on the under traction and just ended up on the wall on the right hand side. He had a few spins tonight and a bit of bad luck mixed in with the good luck. Bad luck, of course, having a few spins, good luck the safety car coming back out, and then bad luck having spins again. Unfortunately ended up retiring from the race. Digweed getting caught up with a couple of spins and then a little bit of contact here and there sort of pulled him out of contention. It seemed to be, though, we noticed it on the last lap, you had a chance to take the lead of the race.
Oh,
round about lap 5, 6.
No.
Very, very mature decision, it must be said. A lot of people would say, I want the win in style. You backed out of it and decided that the championship was worth so much more.
For 5 laps, I think I was sat behind it. All I kept thinking is, that is Indian Jesus' teammate. I thought, I don't want any shenanigans. I had that move wrapped up done. He somehow got back alongside me. I thought, no, P2, we'll take that. We'll take the title. That'll do.
Quite happy with that. It was a very, very good performance from you all round. I think just based on that, based on the qualifying, based on the sprint race, I think you've got to be my driver of the day. The man that is very close to it, though, Gotti Fallon, and of course the other one that's joined us here, Bunnies. I think this is the first time I've ever had the pleasure of speaking to you, my friend. You came in as a reserve this season. You've been driving for only a few races. You've got a win tonight, and you've somehow managed to wrap up P11 in the driver's standings.
P11? Wow.
Judging by my calculations anyway, everything official will come out soon, but judging by my calcs, yeah, P11 and I think there's only been about 4 races if I'm right in counting.
Miami, Australia, Hungary, this. I feel like I did one more.
Maybe one more.
Yeah, just a few.
Nonetheless, a very, very solid result. You must be happy with that win tonight, though. I think it's your debut win in CRL. You've had a good few performances in Tier 2 of race beside you in that, so I know it was in there, but to get the first one on the board must be nice.
Yeah, no, I'm so thrilled. That's it's my first win in the league and my first win overall in quite a while, so I'm really thrilled. Definitely
a nice performance there as well. P7 up to P1. I must admit I was a little bit surprised. Was it you that? No, it was Greek Bill. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up just with the pit stops. The two of you though, I'll ask it for you, Bunny. She opted on that late safety car just to stick out in the hards. I take it that was a choice of track position over fresh tyres, or was it just the tyres weren't really there? You didn't have a fresh set of mediums to go onto.
Well, I was actually on fresh hards. They were only like 2-3 laps old, so it just wouldn't have felt right pitting again. I feel like I couldn't have brought the other tires necessarily to the end, and the tires I was on were fresh enough. I figured I could manage.
Well, it was the right call in the end. Top spot on the podium.
Just barely.
Season 7 done and dusted. I'm hoping to see the two of you back for Season 8. I think it's a sort of almost a customary sort of generic crofty question. But I suppose a little introduction to yourself from the league. What's your plans for the off-season? Quiet Christmas, I take it? Alright, no, yeah, I'm having a quiet Christmas anyway.
Personally, I'm celebrating. Personally, I'm celebrating Christmas and my birthday. So,
well, be quite the celebrations. A win, Christmas, and birthday, and a titles champion. It's summed up here tonight. Congratulations to the two of you. It's been an honour to commentate that race. That was incredibly exhilarating. I'm not going to carry on things too longer.
Honestly, it was an honour to race in it.
It was more of an honour to watch, I can assure you that. Definitely one to go watch back. But Bunnies, congratulations on your debut win here in CRL. But I think the big congratulations goes to you, Bailey, or Baza, champion of Tier 3, joining an illustrious list, and not something that very many people can say, but I think I'll leave it there before my voice dies and my throat decides to turn inside out once again. Thank you all for joining us again tonight. This has been Season 7 of CRL Tier 3. I've been your host, CRL Freefall, better known as Scotty. Make sure to go check in on Liam Carrick in Tier 4. I'm sure he's having just a harder time keeping up with all the action as I had here tonight. And make sure to tune back on Thursday night for Tier 2 and Tier 1. Details of Season 8 will be out in due course on the Discord server and over Twitter as such, but don't expect it to the new year. But until the meantime, have a wonderful rest of the evening, a wonderful rest of the week, a wonderful Christmas, a wonderful New Year, and whatever else comes in between. Thank you all very, very much, and have a very, very good